What is the secret origin of Adrianne Curry? Were you bitten by a radioactive Carrie Fisher?
So I was like a big slut in 5th grade.
It's great to be here, Chris. I think this might have been a mistake, Chris.
I'm a badass wingman, man. You have no idea.
I count prostitutes as girlfriends.
Screen accurate anime Eon Flux.
Let's be honest, kids are stupid, but they're completely useless. They really are. My favorite kids, dead kids. All right.
I'm too lazy to do a podcast, so I appear on other people's podcasts. This is PodCRASH with that Chris Gore.
Welcome to the show. I am that Chris Gore. This is PodCRASH. This is the show where you get to hear me as a guest each week on a different podcast. This week, I'm not crashing any podcast because I just got back from WonderCon, and wow, that WonderCon is the new Comic-Con. WonderCon reminds me of Comic-Con 10 years ago when Comic-Con was fun, when it wasn't difficult to get a hotel room, where it wasn't difficult to get a 4-day pass, when it was fun to go to Comic-Con. And, of course, I indulged in the cosplay. I did a little cosplay there myself. You'll hear, because the audio that you are going to hear, this is just the intro part. This is the intro part I record where I'm speaking to you, the listener. Actually, when I do the live show, I'm actually speaking to you, the listener, also. But in particular, I'm really speaking to you because I'm the only one in this room that's recording this. It's just me, myself, and a microphone speaking to you, the listener, about my experience at WonderCon, where I dressed as James T. Kirk from perhaps one of the greatest and or most embarrassing moments from the new J.J. Abrams Star Trek, in which basically, so I had Kirk's outfit on, right? It's this sort of black outfit that has the Star Trek symbol. It's actually really simple outfits you could probably make from stuff that you already have, except that what I did was I made a pair of really puffy, like hands, swollen hands, in that one scene where McCoy sneaks Kirk onto the Starship Enterprise by, basically giving him some space venereal disease, which I'm sure Kirk probably caught on his 5-year mission anyways, traveling all to strange worlds, having sex with green slave women on some pleasure planet. I did not do that, but I did make fake hands, and it was a lot of fun. Because people immediately, it's one of those things where when I do a cosplay, I like to not only just make a costume, but I want to make a costume that captures a moment. I mean, anyone can make a Batman costume. Anyone can make a Robin costume or wear a Star Trek uniform, but can you capture a moment from a movie? Not just the movie, but the moment when something really interesting happened. And so I was James T. Kirk I was basically just telling everyone, hey, what happens on Romulus stays on Romulus, unless you put your finger in a bad place. So when you hear the audio from the live show from WonderCon, which because of a technical issue, we were not able to do our Google Hangout live streaming on YouTube like we normally do with our live shows, you actually, since we weren't able to do that, and the video we recorded was just from too far of a distance, I'm throwing up this audio because it turned out great. The live show was amazing. Adrianne Curry was my guest, along with Yoshi Obayashi and his partner from his podcast, Yoshi Didn't, Lalit Arvahi. So they were on the show, the three of them as my guests, and I'll explain more about that. I need to explain about this cosplay because I actually came up wearing this outfit at WonderCon, and you can hear at the very beginning of the audio, you'll hear me walking up, and I'm carrying this, it's a box that says a zombie head decanter. And what it was is a glass zombie head decanter that, here's what I like to do. The box was so cool for this decanter that I took the zombie head out, the decanter out. And what I did was a dumb gag that I've done a million times at conventions where I get a really cool box to a thing. And what I'll do is I'll fill it with pieces of glass or nails. So I'll bump into someone and then accidentally drop it. And it just sounds like a horrible crash of glass and a broken decanter, except I did not break it. And that was the first thing I did when I walked up on stage. So I'm trying to tell you some of the visual elements because obviously you can't see that, but that's what happened. I walked up with the zombie decanter. It broke. I came back on stage and then did the show, introduced Adrianne, introduced Yoshi, introduced Lilith, and it really was an amazing live event. Of course, Adrianne dressed super hot and super sexy. If you don't know Adrianne Curry, she was the winner of the very first America's Next Top Model. She's also appeared on Playboy Television and a number of shows. She's a frequent guest on the Howard Stern Show, and she's just a very liberated woman. If you follow her on Twitter, which is @Adrianne Curry, just Google Adrianne Curry. You'll find her on everything. You'll see that she's just very open about her relationships with men, the fact that she's bipolar, the fact that she's bisexual. She's in a committed relationship now with her boyfriend that she'll talk about on the live show, and they get along. His name is Todd Roy. They get along famously. They're like to me the ideal nerd couple. And then I brought on Yoshi, and if you know anything about Yoshi Obayashi, if you've listened to the DVD ASA podcast and or Yoshi didn't, Yoshi is quite a character. He's unafraid to speak about everything from the fact that he enjoys hiring prostitutes and eating their buttholes. This is what he talks seriously. This is what he talks about on DVD ASA and or Yoshi didn't. And then his partner Lilith Arvahi is a therapist. She's a relationship therapist, and they're the couple that makes up Yoshi didn't. Which I'm actually doing that podcast later this week, which is gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna be actually on their show. So the setting is we're at WonderCon, and when I show up, there's a huge line to get in. There is a huge line winding, and just fit in. It was seated about 400 people at there. So you'll hear that the enthusiastic crowd response was great. I think it's the biggest crowd we've actually done one of our live shows for. And what was cool is that every person received a free PodCRASH fan club kit. And I know, look, if you listen to the very end of the show, you'll hear that like there's secret messages and Easter eggs that only happen at the end of the show. And one of the things that I give away DVDs. I think I gave away my Zune at one point, but I was just giving away and just doing fun giveaways and stuff at the end of the show. And so everyone that received the PodCRASH fan club kit, which you can get. And if you'd been listening to the end of the show, you would have already done this. But since you didn't, I'm telling you now, if you send a self-addressed stamped envelope to PodCRASH with that Chris Gore, 5042 Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California, 90036, and which I'll repeat that at the very end of the show, you will receive the PodCRASH fan club kit, which has a membership card, a sticker, an activities page, a personal letter from me congratulating you on becoming a member of the show. You can find out how to get a shout out on the show, actually, if you become a member of the fan club. But it's sort of based on the fact that, like, when I was a kid, I used to love fan club kits. I mean, I love them. I Bantha tracks I read as a Star Wars fan. And there are a million of these fan club kits. When you see them, they all pretty much have the same stuff. A cheesy membership card and like some certificate and then a sticker. And I thought, well, why don't I just do one for PodCRASH? That seems easy enough to do. So just for the people who have sent them in, they're being shipped out today. Today is Monday, April 1st. And this isn't an April Fool's joke, actually. I'm recording this on Monday, April 1st. But and I think I'm going to be posting this in the next couple days. But the PodCRASH fan club kit has gone out, and you can all receive them that way. Everyone that came to the show received them, but we could not give out the stickers. So if you were at that show, you didn't get the sticker, send in a self-addressed stamped envelope. I'll send you your sticker and let me know that you were at the show, and we'll get that out to you. All right, let's get to this week's PodCRASH, which isn't really a crash. It's the live show with Adrianne Curry as my special guest, joined next by Yoshi Obayashi of DVD ASA and Yoshi Didn't, and Lilith Arvahi, also of Yoshi Didn't, live from WonderCon. WonderCon! Coming here on your Saturday night. Enjoy your zombie decanter. We have some amazing special guests tonight, so I want to get right to it. As you know, if you listen to my podcast, every week I am a guest on a different podcast. Tonight, it's going to be a little bit different. I have a special guest that you'll meet, Adrianne Curry. And a couple couple of other special guests who you will meet. Yoshi Obayashi. Who knows Yoshi Obayashi? The world's greatest Korean comedian. He is. He's the world's greatest Korean comedian. And his partner in crime, Lilith Arvahi, from his podcast, Yoshi Didn't. Anyone here listen to Yoshi Didn't? It's a great show. So let's kick things off and let's bring Adrianne Curry to the stage. She is a cosplayer. She is Queen of the Geeks, Adrianne Curry from America's Next Top Model. But also, you may have seen her getting kicked out of Comic-Con at one point when you were dressed as, what were you dressed as, Adrianne? I think you dressed as Ian Flux.
Screen accurate anime Eon Flux. Apparently that's unacceptable at Comic-Con.
That costume is pretty much just butt floss all over your body. Is that accurate?
Actually, it's the most uncomfortable, hot thing ever. I'm actually allergic to latex. I won't tell you how I found that out. But I am, and my whole body was busting out in hives, so when the cops stopped me, I wasn't exactly crying about it. But what I didn't get is that chick that dressed up as Darnarius with the fake nipples and just a dragon covering her crotch walks right by me. And I'm like, okay, so I can't show a little butt cheek, but that's cool. He's like, I'm not looking at her, I'm looking at you. I'm like, and is that because TMZ's standing right there and you feel special?
Well, I'm told that you're not the only person that was kicked. I don't know why you were kicked out. I don't think that's fair. But I was told by one of the people from Comic-Con, little inside info, that there was someone kicked out. It was a woman who played from Game of Thrones, the Mother of Dragons. But she cosplayed the scene where she's basically fully naked.
That was the chick that I saw.
She was fully naked.
She was right there.
She got kicked out, just so you know.
She was there most of the day, though.
Well, Adrianne, I'm a huge fan of you just because I feel like you're not just a geek, you live the life and you have the complete life. You have an amazing boyfriend.
Yes.
I love seeing your updates. You and Todd are so cute together.
Yeah, it's kind of, he just bought me and him dragon goblets so we can drink out of Targaryen cups tomorrow night.
But I feel that with your relationship, your cosplaying, you're also geeky, you're like the complete, full woman. I mean, you're able to experience it all and do it all. How do you do it? What is your secret?
I spend a lot of money at these things on sideshow collectibles. I don't know.
But you're able to balance all of that and your amazing life with Todd.
Well, I think it's because I started modeling and hosting and all this stuff, and I don't think people knew that about me. I think things just started trickling out, over time. I was hanging out at Nine Inch Nails concerts, on the rail at every single show, and people were like, wait a minute, you like Nine Inch Nails? I'm like, yeah, probably since before you were born. Thank you. So it kind of started out like that. My daddy, he's a 6'7" hillbilly from Arkansas, and he's awesome, and he took me to see Labyrinth for my first time, Legend for my first time. We went and saw Neverending Story, so he helped mold me into what I am, and I'd like to say I'm more on the fantasy side of geekdom, but I do really like Star Wars a lot.
Well, then I want to ask you, because I don't think you've ever been asked this question. What is the secret origin of Adrianne Curry? Were you bitten by a radioactive Carrie Fisher?
No, actually, my parents will stand up for me and say that this is true. I was conceived over about 2,000 bottles of booze in a distillery where my parents banged, and that is how I came to be. It's true. They both worked there, and they both got fired, probably because they were banging on the line. I don't know.
When did you get into cosplay? Tell me about that.
Well, I've been costuming my whole life. I love Halloween. And I've always heard about Comic-Con. Unfortunately, when I first hit in 2003 with modeling and everything, I traveled the world. So I didn't get to hang out here or anything. And then when I was married, I had all this time to try to avoid that. And I was able to start checking out things that I dug, and I loved comics and all that stuff, and my ex-husband hated it, so I'm like, God, this is perfect. If I keep pursuing this, I get my own time away from you, and we all know how that ended up in the end. But I think my first major cosplay is I did a really rad Cleopatra in like 5th or 6th grade, and this cute boy that I thought was cute, I made him do Mark Anthony, and then there's this another cute boy that I made Julius Caesar, so I got to like walk around with my boys. It was kind of cool. So I was like a big slut in 5th grade.
Well, let's bring to the stage, because I feel like you are the complete package. You are able to do it all and be it all. Let's meet someone who doesn't do that. Yoshi Obayashi, I met listening to a podcast, which, if you're over the age of 18, is my favorite podcast, DVD ASA, with David Cho, Asa Akira, and Yoshi Obayashi. He also is the host of Yoshi Didn't with his partner in crime, Lilith Arvahi. Let's bring up Yoshi Obayashi and his partner, Lilith. Yoshi, where are you? And Lilith, where are you? Come on up. Go to the stage. Don't be shy.
I didn't think there's going to be kids here.
I can tell by your shirt.
Let's try to keep it family. Let's try to keep it family friendly.
Actually, we worked in the same show. I was consulting Dave's old porn.
Oh, nice!
I was the pervert, but
Dave's old porn was a lot of fun.
I mean, you were amazing. You're pretty knowledgeable about the adult business. I was a bit. You don't look like somebody who would know adult stuff. I'm from Japan, so obviously I know. But my middle name's Bukaki. But it's great to be here, Chris. I think this might have been a mistake, Chris. I don't know.
I was hoping it would be something of a good mistake, because I think that Adrianne could help you. I think Adrianne could help you. I mean, Yoshi, I know that you haven't had a girlfriend in how many years?
8 years, to be exact.
No.
Wait, I can't help with that. You just introduced my boyfriend.
What's that?
I can't help with that. You just introduced my boyfriend.
No, well, you can help.
Well, that's not fair.
Yoshi get the complete life. You can help him.
I'm a badass wingman, man. You have no idea. Take me out.
But Chris, that's not misleading. I mean, I count prostitutes as girlfriends, so.
Family show.
Let's be honest. Kids are stupid, but they're completely useless. They really are. My favorite kids, dead kids. All right. Anyone? Tsunami? All right. 2 years anniversary. All right.
You know, at first I thought, why don't you have a girlfriend? And I think I know.
By the way.
It's so much cheaper to just pay them after you're done and go home, you know.
Wow. Do you condone this, Adrianne? What do you think of Yoshi's behavior? He regularly visits prostitutes in foreign lands, not on U.S. soil. Is that true, Yoshi?
Well, I think made in U.S. is a little overrated, but.
I think prostitution, I think we all know this, is the oldest business on earth. I think it being illegal is stupid. It should be legalized, taxed like everything else, and they should all be tested, and we can maybe save people from Green River killers, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But we can't do anything practical in this country, so we allow like drug cartels to sell weed instead of stores and all that fun stuff.
You know, often, yes.
Woo!
She's running for Senate.
We're cheering for the drug cartels. We love them!
Yeah. On my podcast, Lilith, it's on. She's the good cop, and she's got a master's degree in therapy. You know,
psychology.
Obviously, it hasn't worked on me, but
You're still my lifelong case study, Yoshi.
So.
And Lilith, what's your boyfriend like? What's he do?
I'm single. I haven't dated in 8 years.
How long have you been single?
8 years. I'm just as messed up as he is.
There's nothing wrong with me.
But I have a master's degree, so
That's machines, right? I mean...
those are my boyfriends.
Oh, okay. I mean, men are all
8 inches, yeah.
So what you're saying, Yoshi, is maybe you're not interested in help. Maybe you're just happy doing what you're doing with working on Dave's old porn.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't like lying to people, and like I don't want to pretend like when I'm listening to a girl, like I'm really interested in what she's saying, which I'm really not 90% of the time.
See, your problem is you're not looking for a hot chick that can be your best friend. You're just looking for poon, and with poon just comes stupidity. So you're never going to find anything fulfilling with just poon. You got to find like the BFF who's hot that you want.
Did you say hot?
What's that poon? Yeah, there's hot people that are like cool to hang out with, and then maybe also want the poon.
But I mean, you're exception to the rule. Because I talked to you for a little bit, you're really down to earth and fun to talk to, but I just think pretty girls are pretty overrated because I really like nasty girls and just a filthy, dirty, nasty girl.
But you're not out there like getting
Pretty girls are just boring, you know? You can't even pee on them, but
Well, you've got your shrink friend here. What you need to do is hang outside our office and wait for those pretty screwed up chicks to come rolling out like me. I'm sorry, I have 15 years of counseling under my belt.
No counseling.
In the chair. We'll wait for us to roll out of the office and be like, hey, what's up? You got some daddy issues? Be like, yes, I was raped 9 times. My dad doesn't love me. Would you like to go on a date? That's your girl. She'll be crazy.
and I think Chris forgot to mention, I worked in porn business for 14 years, so, you know, you do meet girls, but what does that mean when the porn girls tell you they're married or have a boyfriend? It doesn't really mean anything, so.
Oh, you're hanging out with them. No wonder why your view.
Oh yeah, it's so weird to hang out with the horny, slutty girls. I mean, come on. One black guy. Thank you, Blitz, sir. You understand. Black guys are great. They really are. So, they really are because you guys are so, like, you love women. No, you really do. Like, you're not judgmental. They could be 500 pounds. You don't care. And, they could look like a Jabba Hutt, but
here's the thing. When you come home, is that stupid bimbo that you're just getting pooned for going to take your shoes off, have a
oh no girls stay come to my place.
wonderful meal waiting for you on the table, doing your laundry, washing your stuff, buying you
I'm
nice
Haitian, I'll do all the laundry. I mean, I'll let my mom do it.
You bitter son of a bitch.
Oh, I'll beat her. All right.
I can't help this son of a bitch, dude.
I think Yoshi, you're beyond help. But let's switch gears for a second because this is you're going to actually see Star Wars Episode 7 very soon, performed by the improv comedy troupe Comic Book Live, standing here waiting in the wings. You guys are in for a treat, and to gear up for that, we're going to do a little thing that I like to call fanfic theater. Giselle B is here. Jizzy B, come on up on stage, Jizzy B. She's from the podcast, The Defective Geeks, and Giselle combs the internet looking for the best fan fiction. And she found something that's Star Wars Episode 1 related. It's titled Bad News, and Giselle will play the part of the narrator, and we'll have Adrianne play the part of Padme. I'll play Anakin, and Yoshi, how about you play Yoda?
Wait, my name is Yoshi. Why do I have to play another green thing? Yoshi look
I just
like-
want to say I appreciate that your white dress is completely see-through. I noticed that 3 times.
Yeah!
You're welcome.
And here we go. Fanfic theater. Bad news.
Padme ran towards Anakin and gave him a hug. The last mission he had took him on what seemed on like an eternity. She missed her Jedi lover so much.
Oh, Annie.
I had to see you, Padme.
His smile faltered with an expression that made him brood more than usual.
I had to talk to you. Now. It couldn't wait.
What is it, Anakin?
You know how Master Yoda and I went on that mission together to, help train me?
Yes.
Padme was beginning to get worried. Anakin's tone of voice was actually starting to show some emotion. Something had to be wrong.
We were apart for a long time, and the only company I had was Master Yoda's.
Anakin, what's this all about?
I told you that I thought about you every day while we were apart.
He continued, closing his eyes. He suddenly felt unable to meet her gaze. His cheeks turned bright red. Padme narrowed her eyes.
That's true, but I didn't wait for you.
Padme looked into his eyes and realized what he meant.
You didn't what?
Her tone now was furious. She didn't want to know, but he realized he'd tell her anyways. She might not want to know, but she deserved to know.
Yoda and
He struggled to explain, finally breaking off. He didn't need to continue. She stood up and stared at him in shock, repulsed.
Are you serious? Okay. My name, did somebody say?
Yoda appeared, not expecting Padme to be with his Yoda, precious little Jedi lover.
You little green bastard.
Told her you have.
No, not yet.
Wait, the fact that you two slept together wasn't the bad news?
Well, it's more complicated than that.
More complicated? How can it be possibly more complicated? This seemed to be pretty straightforward to me.
I'm pregnant, Padme. I'm pregnant.
Yoda walked over to Anakin and rubbed his belly with complete affection. Padme had an expression of bloody Padawan murder on her face.
God. A whole litter? There should be. God. I sound nothing. I sound like a Godzilla movie, for God's sake. All right, and his hips? Children they are.
Padme stared in shock and had the sudden desire to vomit as Yoda continued to rub Anakin's tummy.
You little prick! I'm a hot-ass senator that has to turn down offers all the time, and you couldn't resist? Whatever the hell Yoda is? And you're not dead?
Anakin started to get this look in his eye, like he was all of a sudden on a cloud dreaming of angels.
You just don't understand, Padme. The nights that Yoda and I trained together were magical. He taught me things about the Force. All those nights we trained and got so sweaty, and he helped my mind and body reach new heights.
Lots of tension there was. And much training and stretching he needed. God, this is terrible. Just kill me.
Anakin put his hands on top of Yoda's, and they both rubbed his tummy.
Yoda truly is a master and has such incredible strength and vigor for someone his size.
That's it. I'm out. Anakin, you are a frickin' slut, and I hope you never lose the baby weight.
There was a pregnant pause.
By the way, if you don't lose the weight, I'm dumping you. If you don't lose the weight, dumping you I am. Sorry.
The end.
That's Yoda.
Well, that's it for this week's show. I really want to thank Adrianne Curry. She was amazing on the show. She's just such an honest, no BS. She's just one of those women that I admire because she is brutally honest and she knows who she is and she doesn't give a shit. She doesn't give a shit what you think of her attitude. And I admire that. That's a trait that I just really respect and admire. It's what I aspire to do, is to not give a shit what people think of me. And she is that, she just embodies that. which is also really hot. And I want to thank Yoshi Obayashi for mixing things up. And in spite of the fact that I kept reminding him it's a family show, he continued with his vulgar humor. And I really want to thank Lilit Arvahi, whose name I mispronounced on the show, but now I have gotten correct. So you can follow Adrianne Curry you can follow her on Twitter at Adrianne Curry. You can follow Yoshi Obayashi you can find his show, Yoshi Didn't. It's on Facebook. You can also find Lilit Arvahi at Lilit, it's LILITARVAHI.com. You can find all her social media links there. You can find Yoshi on Yoshi Didn't on Facebook. Yoshi Obayashi, it's just like it's spelled. And you can also go to cosplaycomedy.com to find everything out about Comic Book Live. And I really want to thank you for listening to the show, especially if you've listened all the way through to the end of this show. And I want to remind you that we are part of the Sideshow Network. That's sideshownetwork.tv. And if you go to Sideshow, if you actually go to sideshownetwork.tv/PodCRASH, you can then go shopping on Amazon. We get a little money from that, so I appreciate if you will do that. And look, follow me on Twitter at that Chris Gore. Follow the show at PodCRASH Show. You can also just go to podcrash.net. I'm going to stop talking. This is way too many plugs. This is the end of the show, where I always like to say, and come to our live shows. Our next live show is going to be on 4/20. That's right, April 20th at 7:30 p.m. in Hollywood at I.O. West in the Del Close Theater, and it's our very first all-ages show. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to pull off an all-ages show at I.O. West. So if you are under the age of 21 and you have not been to one of our live shows, now is your chance. 7:30 p.m. at I.O. West at 6366 Hollywood Boulevard. You can get more information. You can go to ioimprov.com/west. You can also go to facebook.com/podcrash. More info on that show on April 20th, Saturday night in Hollywood. An all-ages show. I can't believe I'm doing that. An all-ages show? That's going to be nuts. So I hope to see you there. And one final thing that I would like to end the show with, quite simply, is just by saying, let's get out of here. Yeah. Hey, if you're still listening to this, you're probably a lot like me. You're like a crazy fan that goes to places like WonderCon and goes to panels on a Saturday night to be entertained by people like Adrianne Curry and Yoshi Obayashi. And if you're that kind of person, then we're a lot alike, and I like you. And for that, you shall be rewarded. Send a self-addressed stamped envelope to PodCRASH with that Chris Gore, 5042 Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California 90036. You will be rewarded with the PodCRASH fan club kit. Remember I talked about it earlier? Hopefully you were listening. I can't believe you're still listening to the end of the show. Later.